Good afternoon and welcome to this reception on St David's Day. May I first of all thank Year 6 from Pontyclean Primary School for welcoming us so warmly with their beautiful singing. Really fantastic. You've given the adult choir here some ideas of how they can improve. But I would like to just a special mention to Hallie and Keris. Hallie and Keris? One? Where's the other one? Well, they actually wrote to ask if the choir could perform here. So really, my policy is, if you don't ask, you don't get. So well done to you two confident young women. Thank you very much. The Offenbauer. I think if you wanted to... Thank you very much. 5 years ago, I was elected as the National Assembly's presiding officer, taking over, of course, from the big shoes of David Ellis-Thomas. And it's been a huge privilege to carry out this role. I meet many inspiring people during my work, and I'm delighted to see so many of you here this afternoon. It's my pleasure to host this event on behalf of the National Assembly for Wales. As well as marking St David's Day, it is the 10th anniversary of the opening of this wonderful building, and this reception is being held to celebrate the achievements of the 4th Assembly, which was our first 5-year term. And in a few weeks' time, the Assembly will be formally dissolved until the new Assembly is elected on May the 5th. I hope you've all got your postal votes. If you haven't, you perhaps rush off and get them. It's absolutely fitting that we've invited those from outside the Assembly who've contributed to our work, including committee witnesses and other key organisations that have worked with us during that time. And I know that I speak on behalf of all Assembly members when I thank you for your contribution that you have made. We really are very pleased to see you. And by the same token, we extend thanks to the Assembly members' own support staff and the Chief Executive and her staff for running the institution so efficiently and providing us, the elected politicians, with the services we need to do our jobs to the best of our ability. Now, many of you will know, or perhaps you don't, that I've decided not to stand at the May elections, so this afternoon does hold a tinge of sadness for me, as this will be one of my final speeches as presiding officer. However, I want to take the opportunity to highlight some of our achievements which fill me with a strong sense of pride. Now, in the lead-up to and since the Scottish referendum, much of my time has been taken up with ensuring that Wales's constitutional voice is heard at UK levels. I've made strong representations in Westminster at every possible level to ensure that the Assembly has a firm and permanent place, and that we have the responsibility to determine our own affairs in the future, and that any constitutional settlement is appropriate to our needs. I've been pleased to work closely with the Secretary of State for Wales, and I welcome his announcement yesterday of a delay to the introduction of the Wales Bill. It is the right decision to give the Assembly and the UK Government the opportunity to forge together a lasting constitutional settlement for Wales. The Secretary of State is now recommending changes in relation to the reserve powers model. And the pre-legislative scrutiny report of the Constitutional and Legislative Affairs Committee was unanimously accepted by the Assembly. This evidence of the strength of feeling across civic society showed the need for considerable change, and it's good to see the Secretary of State has listened. I hope that what emerges when the Wales Bill is introduced, I hope it will provide the enduring settlement I and others have called for and that Wales deserves. Now, while the constitutional discussions with Westminster have been a priority for me, and must be for the next presiding officer too, I've also focused on getting our own internal arrangements in order during the last 5 years. Now, from my unique position as presiding officer, I could see opportunities for change, and I've initiated and driven a number of alterations to our practices to ensure greater scrutiny of the Welsh Government. After all, that is our job, as a democratically elected body that represents the interests of Wales and its people, makes laws for Wales and holds the Welsh Government to account. Effective scrutiny is an essential part of any democratic culture, so taking a fresh look at how we could open up opportunities to invigorate our practices and procedures has been very important to me. Some of the changes include shorter tabling deadlines for oral questions in order to increase the topicality and variety of backbencher scrutiny of ministers, the introduction of individual members' debates with cross-party motions, and dedicated time for leaders' questions, which has given an opportunity for party leaders to scrutinise the First Minister in depth on topics of their choice without having to give notice in advance, and spokespeople's questions, again allowing party spokespeople to ask 3 questions of Minister, again without notice. Now, all these changes have given the opportunity for greater topicality in the Chamber and in-depth questioning of the government. And my colleagues on the Assembly's Cross-Party Business Committee have also been considering further internal improvements to how business is conducted. I am very grateful for their constructive and valuable work over the last 5 years, culminating in the Business Committee's legacy report, which we are launching today. Our recommendations provide much food for thought for the new Business Committee, which will be elected in May. We're also launching the Assembly Commission's legacy report today, entitled A Platform for Strength. And my colleagues on the Commission have worked strategically as a governing board to provide the Assembly with the property, staff and services it needs to run effectively. In addition to instilling the needs of high standards, there's been a sustained emphasis on continuous improvement, innovation and value for money. And I very much value the team approach of the Commissioners, and as our legacy report testifies, we have achieved some excellent results over the last 5 years. Now, changing our focus and involving young people in the work of the Assembly has been a flagship project for us. And I'm delighted that the voters of tomorrow have provided their views and opinions so positively. Since the party leaders and I signed our pledge to increase Assembly engagement with young people last year, we've seen almost 13,000 young people getting involved with committee work. A further 10,500 participated in our consultation on lowering the voting age to 16. So who says young people are not interested in politics? Their voices are now most definitely being heard at the heart of Welsh democracy. And I hope the next Assembly will reaffirm its commitment to engaging young people in our work so that we'll build on the achievements made so far. Now, creating an open, inclusive and accessible democracy fit for the 21st century is extremely important to show that we represent all the communities of Wales. And I'm delighted that the Assembly continues to be recognised as a top employer for working families and has received recognition as being an inclusive organisation for people with autism. Winning an Action on Hearing Loss Cymru Excellence Award for people who are deaf or have hearing loss is another accolade achieved during the last 5 years. And as many of you will know, Stonewall has recognised the Assembly as a top public sector employer in Wales for lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people. And for the 3rd year running, we have been ranked as number 3 in the UK's top 100 index. And I agree, something we should be very proud of. Now, my Women in Public Life campaign, which was developed following a Wales-wide series of regional workshops, has sought to bring more attention to gender equality. And I've been inspired by those amazing women who joined our mentoring scheme and then entered public life, and to those who now feel confident enough to apply for positions which advertise through the online portal. Bringing a series of high-profile lectures to the Assembly to stimulate and motivate women on these issues has been another success, and it's generated, I think, enthusiastic and new audiences for such a continuing programme. Now, if the level of interest we have received from international parliamentarians is anything to go by, we've already staked a firm place on the European and international stage as we increasingly see parliaments from other countries visiting us to learn from our practices. We are seen as a distinct, innovative and progressive international legislature. Areas of particular interest to visitors from home and abroad include the use of technology in our parliamentary proceedings, our continuous professional development programme for members, which is the envy of many parliaments, gender representation, our approach to youth engagement, and operating a bilingual legislature. Each of these areas and many others are covered in more detail in the Commission's legacy report. It is free, so please take it and have some good bedtime reading. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Sandy Mewis, Angela Burns, Roderick Lynn Thomas, Peter Black and my deputy David Melding for their commitment and hard work on the Assembly Commission. It's been a pleasure to work with such a dedicated and able team. Now, this is a celebratory event today, but I thought I would set out what I believe the challenges are for the new presiding officer as we move forward to the next Assembly. Getting clarity and coherence on the further powers to be devolved and making sure Wales's voice continues to be heard at the UK level. The referendum in 2011 showed clear public support for greater legislative powers. That is our mandate, and future presiding officers must do everything they can to ensure that a new constitutional settlement enables us to deliver for the people of Wales. We must continue to increase our engagement with the people of Wales and make sure we tap into the expertise and knowledge from all our diverse communities. What they say to us influences our thinking and makes what they do here relevant in everyday lives. And that's why we've got you here today to say thank you very much for helping us to deliver what we've managed to do so far. So bringing openness, transparency and greater opportunity for effective scrutiny in our proceedings, very important. The Business Committee's Legacy Report highlights a number of improvements which could be made in the next Assembly, and hope to see some, if not all, of those come to fruition. And finally, we're delighted that Radio Wales and Radio 2 are broadcasting from here today. Jeremy Vine and all the broadcasters are very welcome at the Senedd. In a few minutes, we'll hear from some of the people who have assisted us in our work. Alex Atkins, who is the Assembly's nominee for the Commonwealth Youth Parliament, Dr. Simon Noble, who is the Medical Director of Thrombosis UK, and Professor Laura McAllister, Chair of Sport Wales, Gender Equality Campaigner, Political Commentator, and Professor of Governance at Liverpool University. But first, we have a short film about the Assembly's achievements during the last 5 years, which I hope you will enjoy. Diolch yn wrando. Favour 41, 5 abstentions, 9 against. Therefore, the motion is carried.
Mae cyfieithu peirianyddol yn rhan o'r ymrwymiad I greu cynulliad cwbl ddwyieithog, lle mae gwasanaethau a busnes yn cael ei delio gyda nhw'n naturiol yn y Gymraeg a'r Saesneg.
From my unique position as presiding officer, I could see opportunities for change. I've initiated and driven a number of alterations to the way we do things to ensure greater scrutiny of the Welsh Government. Effective scrutiny is an essential part of any democratic culture, so taking a fresh look at how we could open up opportunities to invigorate our practices and procedures has been very important to me.